Hello, and welcome to the third episode of the HalfTime TeamTalk podcast. On today's episode, we're going to discuss the results from the weekend just gone in the Premier League. We're also going to discuss were Chelsea's new owners right to sack Thomas Tuchel this early after spending £250 million in the summer? Also, we're going to talk about VAR and how it can be changed for the better. And lastly, with the Champions League starting this week, we'll brush over this week's results in Europe and who we think are the teams to look out for. With me today on the podcast, we've got
Harvey.
Hello.
Johnson.
Hello.
Fryer.
Hello there.
DB.
Oh, yeah.
Tom.
Hello.
And our newcomer, Voyage.
Hello.
Hello. Your first podcast, are you excited?
I'm very excited. Let's get into it.
Good. Excited for the United part, I'm sure. Should we start with Liverpool Everton? Do you want to go first, Fryer?
Go on.
I mean, I can do if you want, but it's just going to be me ranting about how great Tom Davies is, and I expect him to sign a new contract and stay with us for another 4 years, please.
£300 a week.
I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. Obviously, I'm happy you get a point against Liverpool, but I think we could have won. To be honest, I know it was like end to end at points, and everyone hit the post and all the rest of it, but I just think we just had more chances, like the Mopai chance, like just 1-on-1. All he had to do was stick it either side. Obviously, I'm not saying Alisson couldn't have saved it, but he could have just, Mopai could have done better.
Yeah, that should have been a goal, definitely.
Yeah. And I say Tom Davies, for some reason, has to shoot with the outside of his foot and try and curl it into the top corner. So hopefully we see him in the Championship next year. Yeah, but as I said, like you guys had like just as many chances really, and obviously Pickford was he brought his informed card.
Yeah, he was very good.
Yeah,
Out injured now though.
Well, when you make that many saves in a game,
Strained himself. I'm just reading here. So 5 of the last 6 games at Goodison have been 0-0.
Oh wow!
So I kind of expected it.
But it's Everton's biggest game of the season, isn't it? So they're always going to turn up against Liverpool, to be fair.
Well, I was going to say, to be fair,
they're always going to make it.
I don't think they've really turned up most times.
I was going to say, like the last 5 games at Goodison, and well, especially at Anfield as well, but at Goodison, they just time waste the whole time. They shut up shop to try and get a point, but they actually came out at us this time, and I was quite impressed with Everton, to be fair.
With how Liverpool are right now, so they should, and so should any team should give us a game.
Yeah.
We're there for the taking right now. Look at, I know we're not talking about the Merseyside derby, but look at the Napoli game afterwards. You're going, teams give us a go. We're leaking goals like a sieve right now. So yeah,
it's not great.
I'm going to be honest. I completely forgot Salah was even playing. I think that's the first time I've ever watched a Liverpool game and gone like, oh, did Salah play? I didn't even know he was on.
I read a stat the other day. I don't know it exactly, but it was something like the last 44 games he scored 8 goals. Which, when you consider how good he has been, that's just crazy.
he's been a different player since African Cup of Nations, hasn't he? Basically,
Yeah.
Before African Cup of Nations, Salah was undoubtedly better than Mane in terms of form for Liverpool, etc. But after AFCON, it was the other way around.
Well, he obviously got the joint golden boot, and it was basically all the goals he scored in the first half of the season.
Yeah. But the weird thing with Salah at the moment, I know we were talking about Evan, I've just jumped in and started immediately talking about Liverpool, but because you were saying about Salah,
Liverpool
he's just sat on the right wing now. Yeah, okay, but he is just sat on the right wing, isn't he? There's not so much of him. Well, the one time he did actually cut inside and actually have a go, he nearly nicked the winner of the derby as well with a save onto the post by Pickford, but otherwise he was pretty quiet.
I was fully expecting to happen, to be honest, because it always happens. He'll just.
It always seems like we score a late goal against Everton, but unfortunately the Dark Lord Origi, the Slayer of Evertonians, is no longer there anymore. But not to be. But I think a draw was a fair result in the end. It was quite end to end. I think it would have been
the game where Henderson scored in the last minute and it got ruled for offside or something. That Goodison. Do you remember that?
Oh, because. Wasn't it Mane was deemed offside, but he was bang on the line. But Yeah, VAR, it's amazing. I love it.
I mean, VAR doesn't
we'll get
work,
onto
and
that
they
later.
checked the Van Dijk thing, and got it wrong again. But
We won't go
You
into
okay?
that.
Are you okay? Matt, you okay?
I
Yeah,
thought you
fine,
mean
yeah.
you mean the
Yeah,
definite yellow card from Van Dijk that was barely mentioned by anyone afterwards. Yeah.
Everton and United
wasn't mentioned by Liverpool fans, so therefore no one mentioned it, and VAR said it was fine, so VAR's fine. So we all agree it's a.
I always used to think, I don't know what everyone else's opinion on this. Obviously, Johnson, you might know something, but I used to think Conor Cody was a Liverpool fan.
Yeah, he definitely didn't look like a Liverpool fan in that moment,
No,
did he?
that celebration was like 10, 15 years of I never got in your team, but suck on it.
I mean, most footballers probably do support a certain club, but when you're playing for Everton, you score a big goal, you're still going to celebrate, right?
True.
I hate it. If anything, it's the other way around. I hate it when players don't celebrate.
Yeah,
when they're like, "Oh, I'm trying to show a little bit of respect," and I was like, "Why? They're probably giving you dogs abuse, or just celebrate." I don't think there's any problem with celebrating. I mean, obviously, you can go too far. As long as you don't. But I don't see a problem with a bit of a celebration.
What
if Gerrard had
celebrating
gone
against
to-
you guys? You weren't happy though, were you?
Who against us? Sorry?
when Sterling celebrated his goal against you, you weren't there.
That's just because I don't like Sterling. But
Imagine if Gerrard had gone to Chelsea and then he came back to Anfield and then started giving it the big one at the Kop. Would you have liked that?
again, it would have been up to him to do it. I wouldn't have liked it, but I'd think it'd be, you're entitled to celebrate if you score a goal. I don't like the whole hands, they're like hands up. I'm not going to celebrate, and all their teammates jump on them and celebrate anyway. Going, well, does it matter?
Yeah. I'll just stand there and hold my hands up. One thing I've noticed, by the way, I don't know if you've noticed, but Nunes seems to have he seems to be a villain to other fans for some reason. So I don't know if it's because of the price tag or whatever, but whenever we play anyone, whenever he gets the ball, everyone's waiting for him to cock up.
Yeah, because it's easy to wind up. That's why.
Yeah,
he's shown that he's.
I feel like price tag, and everyone knows that you can't wind him up.
Fans can help, innit? They just.
I feel like he's going to be kind of like a Diego Costa type thing, where when he scores, he'll be giving it back to them.
I was literally just going to compare him to Diego Costa.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of.
I have no problem with that. Again,
no, I don't. I'm just saying.
Most clubs have got a player that everyone else hates. I mean, I think probably Richarlison was probably that for Everton, coming back to Everton. Unless he plays for your club, you're not going to like him. It's there's loads of players like that over the years, and if Nunes is that one for us, I'm completely fine with it.
South American players, it seems. That seem to rile up the fans.
Yeah.
It's because it's because they like.
They're quite fiery characters, aren't they?
Yeah,
you think of who we've seen, even Uruguayans like Suarez.
They've come
Cavani.
from they haven't come up through an Everton or a Liverpool or a United youth system. They've been playing in the favelas for however long. So when they actually they know how to wind people up and how to play actual football. So I think there might be something to that, Sam, actually.
No one else got anything else to add? We'll move on.
In terms of the derby, like I said, I think a result of being a draw probably was fair. Both teams will probably think they could have won it with this chance or that chance, but
both teams
ultimately both the goalkeepers. Pickford got man of the match, but it could easily have been Alisson. So I think that kind of sums up the game, really.
Yeah, I wasn't too disheartened to get a point there anyway, and I never usually am, to be honest, because I just expect it. Everton up next. They've got Arsenal away on Sunday, so obviously that'll be a tough one. And we have got Wolves on Saturday. Although no, we haven't actually, so we'll just wipe all that out completely because it looks like all games are going to get cancelled this weekend. Should we do Brentford Leeds next? 5-2 Brentford.
Go on, go on.
Anyone got anything to say, or should I start?
I think Tony's.
I think the Leeds, as per usually, even under the Bielsa era, leak a lot of goals. Much the same again, I suppose. No,
Tony had a really good. His hat-trick was really good quality. Each goal was a really good goal, and if you compare the stats of him and any other English striker in the Premier League, I think only Harry Kane is better. So I think Gareth Southgate should be taking a look, to be honest. But as we all know, he's got his
Oh yeah, he
favourite.
should definitely be in with a chance of a World Cup spot. 100%.
He should be on the plane. He
Definitely.
should definitely be on the
Yeah.
plane.
Definitely, I agree. Did you see the decision that got Jesse March sent off? So,
Oh yeah, I can fully see why he was not a bit annoyed about that one.
so anyone who
And then
didn't
again,
see
did
it,
VAR not even look at it?
no, they didn't. No. So anyone who didn't see it, Leeds attacker was running into the box, and the Brentford defender basically just ran behind him and kind of like they just crossed legs, tripped him, and they didn't even check it on VAR. And then Brentford ran at the other end of the pitch, and like almost exactly the same thing happened, and he gave a penalty. And then Jesse March obviously went nuts at the fourth official and got a red card. But yeah, not great.
It captures the issue with VAR, doesn't it?
Well,
How seemingly
we're gonna talk
one
about
thing's a
VAR
foul.
later, so.
Yeah, one thing's a foul, one thing's not. But they're similar
There's
incidents.
no. From what Jesse
There's no
March is saying as
consistency.
well, they seem to have like meetings where they talk about things and they're told this will be done, but it doesn't seem to be getting done. And I think that's what's riling up managers.
Is this the
Like you
VAR,
said.
you mean?
Yeah,
I assume all their meetings are just done in crayon, to be honest, so I think everything
Yeah.
should be so.
the lines are done in crayon.
But being as managers are losing their job right now over decisions and over certain games, it shows how huge VAR is. It's not just like a one-off thing. It literally has an impact on an entire person's career. Like,
Oh yeah, and there's so much money involved as well. Like if it sends a team down, it could, like if Everton had gone down last season from a VAR decision, as we've discussed before, like we think they'd have probably struggled to come back up.
You do
So-
remember we got a "we're sorry" note that we like pinned to our chests.
Oh yeah,
for
exactly.
in preparation to go to the championship.
that
Anyway,
also
yeah, we'll get
happened this
into that.
weekend, just gone.
We
Didn't
can
they?
get
They
into
came
that
out.
later, can't
I
we?
know we haven't talked about the other games yet, but they came out and apologised about other results that we're going to talk about in a minute.
Yeah,
That sorry, we made a mistake on that one. Oh yeah, because sorry changes the result or the points on the board or everything. Like, oh, we're sorry.
yeah, it's just stupid, isn't it? Brentford up to 7th for that win, so it kind of reminds me of their start to last season, and then they fell off. So, hope Brentford fans will be hoping that that's not going to repeat itself.
Good team.
I think Brentford will be more than safe.
Yeah.
They'll be fine. They're a decent team.
They've got a
Yeah.
good manager too.
They do have a good manager, to be fair. So, up next, let's talk about Newcastle Palace 0-0. There's another VAR decision in there. If anyone who didn't see it, an attacker went up for the ball and was pushed by a defender into his own goalkeeper, the defender's goalkeeper, and then the ball got knocked into the net, and then VAR checked it and said it was a foul on the goalkeeper, but the attacker was just stood there and got pushed into the goalkeeper. Like, it was just ridiculous.
I don't understand how you can look at that.
Sorry, go on, Sam.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I don't understand how you watch that back and go, yeah, he's committed a foul there by being pushed into someone.
No, that's it. Like, the referees are kind of like blameless in this. It's the people on VAR. Like, they're watching it over and over and over
Yeah.
and coming out with the wrong decision.
Did the referee go and look at it under the monitor? I don't actually know.
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's massive.
Because
Massive error.
I think he give the foul, and then VAR checked it and said, yeah, it's right.
And this is one of the decisions that they have since apologised about, because it should either be a goal because the attacker was pushed into the goalkeeper, so it wasn't his fault, or if anything, it should have been a penalty. But because the goal happened, I think the goal should have stood. But
Yeah, it's just
they ruled it out,
scramble.
so yeah, just another VAR classic.
Alexander Isak nearly scored again. It was a very similar move to the one where he scored at Liverpool, but he fluffed the one-on-one chance this time. Could have had 2 goals in 2 games, which would have been quite a good return, seeing as he's just come to the Premier League. Newcastle have had a win now in 5 games, so yeah, they need to start. Like we've spoke about before in the past, there's a bit of an illusion that they're like the best of the rest outside the top 6, and the stats clearly show that that's not the case.
You wouldn't think.
It's not the case right now, but because you know the financial backing behind them, it's almost inevitable that they will be the next big thing.
Yeah, I'm sure we're all looking forward to that. Up next, Forest 2, Bournemouth 3. Forest going 2-0 up in the first half in this, and Bournemouth coming back in the second half scoring 3 goals. to come out with the win. Only saw it on Match of the Day. Anyone else watch it?
No.
Just on Match of the Day, yeah, mate.
Yeah, so I think
Isn't it managerless Bournemouth as well at the moment? Was it a caretaker taking charge?
caretaker
They were,
manager.
like you said, being they were 2-0 down, you just think, well, Forest are definitely going to win and Bournemouth are in trouble. But the fact they turned it around, you go, oh, maybe, Bournemouth you thought would be the whipping boys of the league, and they can pull out games like that, then maybe not.
In a way, it makes the sacking of Scott Parker even more laughable, really. Like, if you think, like, the results are picking up against the teams they should be beating, they're doing it. They're doing everything they need to do to stay safe, so it baffles me why they sacked them.
Well, Bournemouth are 13th in the table now, so they're literally 2 points behind Liverpool. So,
well, to survive, all you need to do is average a point a game, and so far they're doing that. So they've only lost
O'Neill, caretaker manager, has got a draw and a win in his 2 games as manager. So
because they've been more realistic games. I mean, Scott Parker got sacked on the back of. I mean, he got sacked off before, behind the scenes things more than the results. But he lost to, was it Arsenal, City, and Liverpool? I think they got tonked like in a Liverpool game, but those aren't the games that Bournemouth will stay up on. But he was sacked for not political reasons, but because he was basically saying to the chairman, "We need money. This team isn't going to compete."
Yeah.
But if they pick up points against other relegation candidates and other mid-table teams, then they will stay safe. But you still probably would say that they're one of the ones that are in the relegation battle to go down.
Is just changing the topic to Forest. Is anyone surprised to hear that they're currently second from bottom?
Yes and no.
It'll take time to gel, won't it?
Yeah.
Well, it will, but I feel like there's been such a feel-good story around them, and they've had good results. And then you look at the table and you're like, "Whoa, hang on, they're second from bottom."
Yeah, with the players they're signing and like you said, like the sort of the momentum around them, you feel like they're going to finish mid-table, don't you? But at the same time, with them being so sort of, they have obviously haven't had the opportunity to gel yet. It feels like a massive mess, isn't it? And they're going to struggle to sort it out, I think.
Also, they are second from bottom solely on goal difference. As West Ham, Villa, and Forest all on 4 points. So, so we're equally as bad.
I mean, way to go, but there's a definite naivety. If you're 2-0 up against anyone, you shouldn't be losing that game 3-2. No, especially if you think from a Nottingham Forest point of view, and letting in 3 goals in one half against Bournemouth, even if you are gelling as a brand new team, isn't good.
Well, interestingly, even though they are like a brand new team with 21 plus signings or something like that, I believe their back 3 are the same back 3 from the Championship.
All right.
I'd maybe look at the fixtures as well. I wouldn't say they've. I mean, they've played some difficult games, minus obviously the Bournemouth one, and they picked up obviously the win against West Ham. They've had some difficult fixtures. I know they've played City, Spurs, and a few. They're not easy games, especially for a team that
no one expected them to get anything from.
And we
the tougher ones, really.
Yeah,
Chelsea and Liverpool as well. Actually, thinking about it, yeah. Thanks, Sam. I needed that pick me up today.
You played who in Liverpool? Chelsea.
I played Chelsea and Liverpool. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but Chelsea are shocking, aren't they? They've got no manager. Well, they've got a manager now, but still.
We played Chelsea when they were good. Yeah, we don't play them when they're bad.
Yeah, well, we'll speak about them later. The evening game was Villa Man City. Leon Bailey scored an equaliser in the second half. I didn't get to watch this game, but I think you guys did, so you could probably talk about it more than me. Anyone?
No.
I'll go then. So Haaland got his 10th goal in 6 games. Kevin De Bruyne hit the bar in the second half, which would have sealed the 3 points before Bailey scored. There was another bit of a conscientious VAR decision here as well. Was it VAR?
It didn't go to VAR. The disallowed Villa goal. Yeah, the linesman flagged up for offside, even though he wasn't. But because obviously the linesman flagged up, the referee blew the whistle.
Yeah,
and then obviously Coutinho then slotted it away. But it was a good second or two before. But you don't know And apparently, on close calls, they're meant to leave their flag down and then let VAR rightly or wrongly decide if it's a goal or not. But
I think Gerrard said he spoke to them after the game and they apologised. They said they got it wrong, which is all you're looking for, really. But yeah, it still doesn't change the fact
I think
they did get it wrong.
I think it was the direction of play, really, because everything was obviously moving forward, and then it kind of came back like out of the box and things. So I think that's when he's just thrown his flag, thinking, "Oh right, okay, yeah, like I've let that play go. I'm going to throw up my flag now." It's just I don't know. I kind of like those things that go wrong like that because it just shows. It kind of gives football that
Gives you something
human
to talk
side
about,
of it.
doesn't it, as well?
Well, yeah, but it just gives football that human element again, which it's kind of gone now, isn't it?
Yeah. What about City then? Because I know we've had discussions in our chat and basically said that they've already won the league, but that's the second game now that they've failed to win out of 6. And considering they've got this striker,
I saw an interesting take on City the other day. It was about Haaland and how, as ridiculous as this could sound, is that he actually makes City worse. And the sort of the point the guy was making was that if you consider from a fantasy football perspective, I remember there's a stat knocking around that how he averages a point per touch in
I saw that.
In relation to what actually plays out on the field is because he's actually touching the ball so little in the game. When he does, he can cause such damage with it. But because he's essentially not playing, City are now down to 10 men in every game. So they've got sense. They've almost got one less player on the pitch in terms of the midfield dominance, which they previously used to kill off games, and hence why teams are sort of sneaking in and getting the odd goal.
Well, they've averaged conceding a goal, 1 goal every game.
Can I ask you a serious question there, George, about where you got that information from?
Basically Twitter. So I get all the information.
No.
It might not be true.
Well, no. It sounds about right, but just for someone to say that Haaland makes City worse, was it the Randy Bandit that was the source of this? Because that seems like a Randy Bandit kind of argument.
It wasn't. No, it wasn't Randy Bandit. But shout out to Randy Bandit.
I can see what you mean, though. I mean, apart from him scoring 17 goals a game, he doesn't touch the ball much. He doesn't impact the game, but he comes alive when they attack. But yeah, in terms of tracking back and otherwise having an impact, I can see what you mean. But when he scores as many goals as he does right now, ultimately they bought him to score them goals. But I can see what you mean on the flip side.
Does it mean that basically City either win 5-0 or it's a draw?
A draw, yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Just looking at last season, just for perspective, after 6 games, they've got 1 more point this season. So, kind of makes a muggery of that stat, really. But
they should have, but obviously it's not going to go forward now. They should have had Spurs this weekend, and obviously Spurs beat them twice last year in the league.
Yeah, they did.
But obviously there is no football this weekend now, but it should have been Spurs, so that would have been interesting.
Just to make you feel sad or happy, depending on who you support, Liverpool had 14 points after 6 games last year. So, yeah, not great. Should we move on to Wolves Southampton? So, Daniel Podence scored in half-time stoppage time. It's their first win of the season. It's their first league win since beating Aston Villa on the 2nd of April, 154 days ago. He seems to have a problem scoring goals at Wolves, which, when you consider, it makes sense really with what's happened to Jimenez, but they've not really bought anyone to replace him, have they? So,
well, they've got Diego Costa.
Yeah, I was going to say, there was no.
Yeah, how's that going to go now?
Strikers at the time.
Well, I mean, they've gone for Diego Costa because their new signing, that Kaladzanic, did his ACL in the first game that he played for him. So there was a desperation. The window's shut and they needed someone, so that's why they've gone Diego Costa.
Did anyone see Che Adams miss?
Oh, he did score, but it was disallowed because he handballed it into the net.
So anyone who didn't see it, cross came in and it was dropping. It was right above his head and it was dropping onto his head. And he could have just stood there and not moved, and it would have bounced off his head and gone in. He jumped, lost track of it, and it hit his arm and went in. It was funny.
Very, very Sunday league, wasn't it?
Yeah. He also hit the bar as well, Che Adams. He's had a good start to the season, to be fair. Considering he hadn't scored in, I don't have the stats to hand, but I think I mentioned it on the last podcast. He'd not scored for quite a while. He started quite well this season.
So, Southampton's another one that surprisingly, again, at the start of the season, I thought they were in trouble and might go down, but they have done all right this year. Obviously, they did ultimately lose to Wolves, but they have surprised me, and I think some of the signings they brought in terms of youth with potential, I think it's been quite clever by him, to be fair. I think I'm prepared to admit I was wrong already about Southampton, to be fair.
To be fair, I've always rated their manager.
Yeah, and obviously both you and Johnson are going to be eyeing up anyone decent at Southampton.
Hey, that's not happened for a while yet. Yeah, that's not happened for a while, to be fair. Next, we'll do Brighton 5, Leicester 2. Again, this is another game I didn't get to watch, but I've seen the excitement in the chats. Was it 4 goals in the first half? It was 2-2?
It was the game of the weekend for me. It was a hell of a game if anyone got to see it. Did anyone else watch it?
I watched most of the second half.
Also, when it was like a non-event, then I missed all the action. There's still 3 goals in the second half, though.
I was going to say there was a few goals and a dodgy VAR decision in the second half.
What happened with that VAR decision? I didn't see that.
It was I'm not 100% sure why it got ruled out. I think that's something to do with like a random offside or something, or I don't know, foul in the build-up. But McAllister basically from about 30 yards out smashed it in, like a hell of a goal. And yeah, just VAR ruined arguably one of the goals of the season.
Well, was it someone like Caicedo? I think it might have been, tried to do an overhead kick when the free kick came in, and they deemed he was offside even though he didn't actually make contact with the ball. Then it bounced out, and McAllister absolutely thundered it in. Was it Mwepu? Sorry, yeah.
Sweden now. So
he didn't actually make contact with the ball. It went back out. McAllister absolutely thunder boomed it into the goal, which would ultimately would have been his hat trick because he scored 2 goals that were given afterwards. But
yeah, took 4 minutes.
Partially disallowed. It took him ages.
Ahead of the line. Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's another problem. Again, we're obviously saying how much we love VAR in this one, but is it a close call or they're there for the dodgy decision? If it takes 4 minutes to make a decision, then therefore just stay with what's on field. You know what I mean? 4 minutes to just
that's a joke.
Completely kills a game off. Like
we'll discuss it later, but I think Fryer, you had a point of if they take a certain amount of time, then obviously it's not clear and obvious, so they should just go with what's happened.
I think mine was mine was just. Sorry, I was just going to say my one was just that. It was my one was more regarding offsides really, but we'll talk about that later. I think it was someone else that said about the time limit thing, which I agree with. That's a good idea. Though. I wonder what Chris Briscoe thinks though.
Probably watching United, to be fair, so we'll move on.
Game,
yeah, he's press record, he's done his job.
Obviously, we were talking about VAR, but the game itself, Leicester started really well because they scored after a minute, and then the frailties and the weakness of Leicester came out. No, it was about 10 minutes or so, I think, was it? It didn't equalise straight away, but Brighton showed that they're far, far better than Leicester. So good that ultimately Chelsea go and nick their manager today. I was just about to say... Brighton were quality. Leicester very, very, very poor defensively.
I was just about to say Brighton are 4th in the table now, so it'll be interesting. Like today's news, Graham Potter has signed for Chelsea, so interesting to see how they end up now. Do we know anyone who's in the running to be the manager?
I haven't heard much actually. I haven't even gone on booking
I think
sites to see what
is going to be caretaker, isn't he? By the sounds of it, which is quite interesting.
Short term, yeah, but obviously, because there's no game this weekend, you assume they'd have a manager in.
The favourite is Brendan Rodgers, and then Celtic manager Ange Postecoglou.
Right.
Thomas Frank is 15-2.
But
Bruno's 10-1. I'm guessing that's not the player.
Or it's going to be Borat. The Borat actor as Bruno, but obviously Brighton aren't going to play now for about a month, are they? Because this weekend's cancelled. Next weekend, their game with Crystal Palace was postponed because of the rail strike.
It's like COVID all again, isn't it?
And it's an international break, so they'll definitely have a new manager in by the next time they play. But Brighton fans aren't going to be playing for a month, and they're like mourning the loss of their manager, like as well. So, right,
it's be interesting to see. Like I said, they've definitely got time to appoint a manager at least and do it properly. But yeah, so next up is the one United fans will be waiting for. CB, can you sound up? Sound Deutsch, this is what you're here for.
I mean, yeah, it was a great result for us. Arsenal were unbeaten going in. It was, it was a good performance. I think we were maybe the second best team on the day overall, and there's one stat that counts, as they say.
I didn't get to see the game. I was actually trying to avoid it because I missed the first 10 minutes, and I thought I'll just silence all chats and I'll try and watch it later. And then after like 65 minutes, I got bored and I was like, I'll just check it. And I saw it was just 3-1, and I was like, all right, I won't watch it then. But from what I saw, I saw Gary Neville tweeted that despite the defeat, he's more he thinks they've got more of a chance after that performance of getting top 4 than before the game, even though they lost 3-1. So
Arsenal can take positives out of the game, because I think up until Man United killed it off with the third goal, Arsenal were probably the better team, but Man United were clinical, and that's what you need to be, clinical.
Can we also add that Gary Neville will say anything to try and boost Man United's morale, considering he thought
he was boosting Arsenal's morale, wasn't he?
I thought he said he was for United top 4.
No, Arsenal.
Oh, right,
he said, despite the result.
You said despite the loss, yeah.
Despite the result, now seeing that, he's more sure of their top 4 challenge.
It's the first thing I've ever agreed with. Wow.
I think you need to publicly apologise to Gary Neville.
That's never going to happen.
Gary Neville's never listening to us.
Never going to happen. So,
but
Sam,
why
do you think you were the second best team then? Why do you think you were the second best team?
I'd say Arsenal probably they definitely had the most of the possession, probably more shots. I think it was probably even on shots on target and, clear chances. I don't recall De Gea having to do a great deal. There was a couple of saves, but they were, saves you would expect. I think we were just a bit more clinical.
I think Arsenal missed quite a few good chances.
I know Odegaard missed an open goal pretty much, didn't he? I think it was a good set.
They also scored a goal that VAR then ruled out.
Obviously we'll probably talk about this one. Yeah, it was probably a soft one. I think we'll all agree. I think you do see 10 to 15 fouls like this given a game. It's just the modern football. I think if Odegaard had got the ball, it was Odegaard. If Odegaard had got the ball, obviously it's not getting overturned, but because he doesn't touch the ball, Eriksen goes down, he gets called back. I wouldn't say it's the most contentious call of the weekend.
No, definitely not.
I think if it hadn't led to a goal, it would have just been played on.
Yeah.
McTominay did the exact same thing in the game, and it got a foul against him.
Exactly, yeah. So, I think you see it. You see it every game.
Foul. It's a soft. Yeah, you can say it's a soft foul, but it is a foul.
Oh,
it's one of those where.
Yeah, Chris has declared it is a foul. That's it. So
it was.
Oh right, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
McTominay also wrestled. Who did he wrestle? Gabriel Jesus to the floor later on, like a WWE move.
I saw that. It was like
the most solid yellow I've ever seen. He headlocked him and basically DDT'd him to the floor.
I
just think of that now. That foul now. That was amazing.
That was definitely a predetermined plan to, I think, be very physical with Jesus. I think Varane and Martinez both did similar through the game.
Do we think Arsenal are a bit soft-centered when it comes to?
You'd say maybe it was the first. I don't want to say United are good yet, but it was the first big team they've played. Yeah, and they definitely didn't pass it. I know Arteta's pointed to the referee, but I don't think the referee is at fault for you throwing on 5 attackers with 20 minutes to go and conceded a third.
I'm just looking at the stats.
Yeah, I think that showed Arteta's naivety. He was trying to go for it, which I understand, but that opened them up even more. And that's when you scored the killer third punch. So it's just a bit of naivety, I think, from the manager. But You can see why he tried it.
How was Anthony? I saw his goal, and I thought Ramsdale could have done better. And I saw his little leg dance.
That was pretty much all he did.
Yeah, he didn't do much.
Yeah.
Oh, all you can ask for is a goal, isn't it?
Well, yeah, he got his chance. He took it. Obviously, he only played 55 minutes, I think.
I think he did alright. Like,
a few nice touches.
In taking the goal, I know Ramsdale's a bit dodgy, but he could argue that maybe there's like a little drop over the shoulder, even if it was only something like that, not like his fancy little leg moves. But he sent Ramsdale the wrong way. Got a goal on this debut. He's going to be.
The thing is, though, with that goal, when do you ever see a goalie go near post for that? Because it's obvious that the attacker's always opening at their body to curl it round them.
Yeah.
It reminded me of a goal Salah scored at Old Trafford against Dean Henderson. It was just so obvious which corner he was going to go for.
Yeah, I remember that. That was in the 5-0, wasn't it?
Yeah,
well, that was the fifth goal. Don't worry, it was a long time ago now.
Yeah, we'll brush that in the carpet. 10 Hag's here now, so all's forgiven.
ETH, Ethereum.
Nothing happened in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
All forgotten.
The last game we want to discuss, Chelsea 2-1. Obviously, we wanted to talk about Thomas Tuchel getting sacked, so we'll talk about that game last. Another dodgy VAR decision. I think we can all agree this is probably the worst. Well, apart from Fryer, this is probably the worst one. West Ham actually went 1-0 up. Chelsea came back in the second half to win it 2-1, but West Ham scored an equaliser. Joe Bowen had a shot, I think, and then Edouard Mendy came out and Bowen's foot brushed the top of Mendy. Mendy went down like he'd been killed. Chelsea players surrounded the ref.
Well, he was already down.
Well, he went to save it, didn't he? But then he started rolling.
He exaggerated.
He stayed down and acted like he'd been shot.
Yeah.
But why are we all surprised by that? That's what all footballers do from every team.
Well, yeah, they do. It's not, but it's ended up in a goal being chalked off, hasn't it? So there's been some comments from players and managers, like David Moyes, said it was scandalous after the game. Declan Rice said that it's up there with the worst VAR decisions he's ever seen since it's come into the game. So
this is the second decision as well, including the Newcastle one, that they actually apologised about afterwards, that they made a mistake. So it does show it was a bad decision when even retrospectively the VAR or the FA or whoever it was were like, oh yeah, we're sorry, we made the mistake again, because that means nothing to West Ham fans or the fact that they dropped points.
If West Ham
we're sorry, but it happened.
Point away from getting into the Europa League, then that's not. You got your sorry. That's fine. It's ridiculous, isn't it? That they even come out and say sorry.
Is it too late?
At least they have to have an admission of wrong, which is one thing, but it's so hollow. You know, it just further proves West Ham, David Moyes, Declan Rice, that all of them being aggrieved at the original decision being terrible, because they've even now had to come out and go, oh yeah, we made a mistake, sorry about that one as well.
Yeah,
it's just
shocking.
VAR is meant to stop these decisions, and then if anything, VAR is making football worse for it. You know, it's annoying.
The refs used to come out after games and say, didn't they, oh, I'm sorry, we made... It's literally the same thing. It's just, it's now there's 4 of them apologising instead of
the thing is, though, you could say that a foul like that is the way the game's gone, the way the rules have changed, you can kind of accept that being a foul. Where it annoys me the most is with offsides. It's so cut and dry, you're either onside or you're offside. But they get it wrong.
We'll talk about that in a bit, but with the foul though, as you're saying, it's soft and it was terrible. Well, again, okay, I know I'm going to get shot here for saying this, but I don't think that Eriksen was a foul. He barely touched him. He just felt something on his shoulder and threw himself on the floor.
That I've already established that was a foul.
Yeah, that's fact.
It's
that's
not.
You're an Arsenal fan.
Man United fan obviously thinks it's a foul.
The Arsenal fan doesn't.
The closet Arsenal fan who's an Evertonian, but I think it. Right. I mean, I'm not biased because I'm a Liverpool fan and it was United, but I did think it was a foul, but it was incredibly soft. It ruined my fantasy football as well because wasn't it Martinelli who scored? Oh god damn it! But I can see why that Eriksen one going back to the United game was disallowed, but it's annoying.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's just how the game is now. You get any type of physical contact is basically a foul now. So
Yeah, so
surprised.
that's it. With if it annoys you, like that's just the game, isn't it? Did anyone watch just before we talk about Tuchel? Just moving on to the Champions League games, the Dynamo Zagreb Chelsea game was obviously the early game on Tuesday night. It was 1-0 to Dynamo Zagreb. I watched it and I thought Dynamo Zagreb were quite good. To be fair, Chelsea just seemed to not really play till like the last 10 minutes when they hit the post. But they could have had a couple of goals, Zagreb, before then.
Do you reckon the atmosphere probably affected Chelsea as well?
I don't know. I don't remember the atmosphere being that
because I think Zagreb
loud,
can be quite hostile environment.
I think they had a running track around the pitch. To be fair,
didn't Liverpool? Didn't you play someone like Zagreb like a couple of seasons ago? Did you drop points?
No, wasn't it Cluj or someone?
Wasn't it it's like Partisan? I feel like
I remember that. It was shocking.
Would you drop points in that game? No.
We lost 3-0, something like that.
That was it. I think I don't really rate Chelsea at the minute.
I can't remember who it was, but
it was an Eastern European team. I'm sure it was.
Yeah, it was like Bosnia or somewhere like that. Do you remember, Johnson?
I remember seeing the video and it said like, "Oh, this is the tunnel Liverpool going down." It was like literally, the underpasses when you go under like around like motorways and all that with graffiti all over the wall. It was like that.
Oh, I do remember it was Partizan because I remember doing the joke about Partizan fans, but like a Partizan crowd or whatever. But Eastern European places like that do make it hostile, and the help of the home crowd does help them. I remember Wales when they had to go to Croatia in qualifying, and again, rather than it being in like a main place, they made them go to a place out of the way, so they had to take a coach there, and the whole. It's not just the stadium or the fans; it's everything around having to go to an out of the way place. Like the way Eastern European clubs do it, it's perfect because it gives them an even bigger home advantage than normal.
Yeah.
So, and Chelsea coupled with being poor at the moment as well. Don't get me wrong, but it's a banana skin that you think they shouldn't happen, but you can see why big teams it does happen to because they're out of their comfort zone.
Oh, where Madrid lost. Who did they play? Sheriff, was it last year?
It was Red Star Belgrade. It was 2-0.
Red Star Belgrade. That's got history.
Yeah, it was at Sheriff, and they lost. I remember them. I can't remember if they lost or they got a drawback. But when it went to Bulgaria, I think it was, and they played Ludogorets.
So they beat Madrid, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, in Bulgaria, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was when there was no crowds, wasn't it?
They won at. No, they lost. They went 1-up. No, they won at Madrid as well. They won 2-1.
They definitely got a result against Madrid.
Yeah,
they're in Man United's Europa League group actually.
Are they? They won 2-1 at Madrid and lost 3-0 at home. And what's funny is their badge is a star, so it looks like a sheriff's badge.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
Well named.
So I was looking at some stats, and before this game. Dynamo Zagreb have won 5 of their previous 43 Champions League games, so that's how much of a big of a shock it was.
Yeah, there's something definitely not right with Tuchel at Chelsea. Obviously, up until the sacking as well, every other game they seem to drop points.
He seems to be a bit like Scott Parker as well. He's been moaning about the hierarchy as well, so maybe that's what got him the sack.
Yeah, apparently there's rumours that he's just never seen eye to eye with Chelsea's new owner.
I think it was definitely apparent that, wasn't it, that he wanted him gone at the first chance.
Yeah.
Why didn't he get rid of him though? Why did he spend £260 million and then get rid of him?
That's what doesn't make sense.
Because he came in.
That's why they've got
that guy came in.
Spend it.
He got rid of all the hierarchy at Chelsea, brought in his own people, apart from Thomas Tuchel.
Is that the biggest transfer window ever in spending?
I think so, yeah. They broke the record, didn't they? I've got a couple of stats.
Can we just add, by the way, about that? Sorry. Like every year that record's going to be broken because the prices just keep going up.
Yeah, they are just going up.
Yeah.
And it'll probably be Chelsea as well. Every year. But that was actually, it's quite funny how things work out. That was his 100th game as Chelsea manager. And in that time, he He won 60, drew 24, and lost 16. So it's not a bad record, to be fair. Another stat here, they registered 49 clean sheets in those 100 games, which is more than any other team in Europe's top 5 leagues, and conceded least goals than anyone else as well, an average of 0.8 per game, and they've just sacked him.
But unfortunately for them, and everyone said he was overrated as well, didn't they?
He's definitely not overrated, but he's a dangerous manager to have in your dressing room because he loses his head so quickly.
Well, another stat I've got here, at Chelsea, PSG and Dortmund, he's lasted 2 seasons, each team. So from now on, we should call him...
I thought you were going to say I've got a stat for how many times he's lost.
Not got a stat, but a nickname should be called Thomas 2 Seasons.
There we go. He's basically never recovered from that Conte handshake. That was like the beginning of the end for him, wasn't it, really?
Yeah.
But, you know what you're saying about the stats, that he's only lost like 18 games or whatever, but 3 of them have been in the last 5 games, haven't they, under new ownership, I think?
There was there's a lot of like behind the scenes stuff going on. I was chatting to Fal about it earlier, and we said like we weren't going to turn it into like a gossip column, but it's apparently quite well documented, I believe it. So anyway, that he's going through a very dodgy divorce, and it's really sort of he's bringing his home life to work with him, and there's like rumors of like how like the Chelsea players have been like discussing it. Like a training. Tuchel.
Oh right. Oh.
And like he's, and if you look like his attitude this year, like the whole Conte situation, like he's clearly lost his head a little bit, and like apparently like it's happened on the training pitch, like players talking about him, and he's overheard stuff, and so basically the dressing room's just gone.
There's definitely something happened behind the scenes, whether it's that or the players or the owner, but I think the owner's definitely gone out to make an impact with his signings. I think part of the takeover, he had to pledge so much that they were going to invest, didn't they? I think.
Yeah.
So he's definitely done that with the playing squad. A lot of defenders, it seemed.
Yeah.
I don't know. And they can't keep clean sheets.
They lost Christensen, they lost Rudiger.
Or was it like the borders?
Yeah, Alonso
was sort of after they'd signed a couple, wasn't it?
I like how they signed Aubameyang for Tuchel.
I know. He got 60 minutes of him.
Yeah.
60 he got. So, how do we think Graham Potter's going to do? He's obviously just been appointed today. He is good. He's obviously untested at the top. I think he's a bit crazy to take it, to be honest.
I think he's a bit.
He's probably quadrupled how much he's getting paid a week.
Yeah, but let's be honest, he's not worrying about his bills, is he, right now?
Well, no, but I mean, you know, you're not going to say no to probably tripling at least your wages, but big jobs don't come around that often.
Yeah,
no offense to Brighton, you've got to take that chance, haven't you? I suppose, but I mean, Chelsea notoriously don't give managers long, so it's a risk, but I can see why he's gone for it.
They should play some nice attacking football anyway, because the Brighton are pretty attractive to watch, so at least the Chelsea fans have got that to look forward to.
Hopefully he didn't fall out with Cucurella before he left. Yeah,
I think we've all seen that meme.
Be an interesting conversation.
Carrying on with the Champions League games, I'll do Spurs next. Beat Marseille 2-0. I didn't watch it, but I saw the highlights, and Marseille actually looked quite good, and I think Spurs struggled for the first 60-odd minutes. And Mbemba got sent off for Marseille after 3 minutes in the second half. And even then, Marseille still looked like resilient, and Richarlison popped up with 2 late-headed goals. Did anyone watch it?
Yeah, I love seeing Richarlison doing well.
He was obviously quite emotional at the end of the game, wasn't he?
It's big for him, to get off the mark.
I actually love it because I do really think he was our best player for so long, and he just I'm not making this an Everton thing, but like when you see when we have like good players, it's really frustrating that it's like you do well in a really good team, so it's just nice to see him. Yeah, basically, yeah.
His second header was a really good header.
Yeah, and like you can see how much it meant to him as well, which is again, it's nice to see because it's not always about money, is it?
No. And obviously he's not had many chances, so he's grabbed this one with both hands. And Spurs, a lot of their games, I've mentioned it a few times, they've not looked great, but they're getting the wins. And that's all you can ask for, really. Did anyone see that former Arsenal player Matteo Guendouzi was playing for Marseille? Do you remember him?
I remember him, yeah.
Sideshow Bob.
Yeah, Bob,
he looked good. To be fair to him, I didn't even know he was there. I think what was your stat for Marseille, Falvey? Was it that?
2 seconds.
Back to Guendouzi as well. He's only 23 years old. He's a very young player when he left Arsenal.
Blimey. Seemed like he was there such a long time ago.
I think he was signed by one manager, and then obviously the next manager didn't rate him, being Arteta.
Right. I think
it was an Emery signing, wasn't it? Yeah.
Was it?
I think so. Don't quote me on that. But
I think it definitely wasn't Wenger.
It wasn't Arteta, so he never really got a chance afterwards. But I know it's such a non-point compared to the game, but did anyone see that Joey Barton was in the Marseille away end of the game?
I remember
he was there on loan for a season. He was like, "Oh, I'll just rock up with the Marseille lot." Like, pretty funny.
I've seen his interview doing the rounds as well from a few years ago with the French accent.
Oh God. I don't know if you can find it, George, but I think it was Marseille have lost.
Yeah,
they've not won in 13 away games now in Europe.
Yeah,
which is pretty poor. And when you consider the last few seasons they've been in the Europa League, then yeah, it's not a great record. But they are doing well in the league this year. They're joint top PSG after 6 games, so might end that record soon. I don't really know anything about that. Is that a big rivalry? Or
I think that's probably the biggest rivalry in France. Marseille
is it?
PSG Marseille.
I think everyone hates PSG.
They're I think historically they're 2 of the biggest teams.
Yeah.
They've won the Champions League, haven't they, Marseille?
Well,
they might have won it twice actually.
Maybe a bit of match fixing, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Won't go into that.
Did Dan come from
no
Marseille?
Was it Bordeaux?
Come from Marseille.
Was it Bordeaux?
Oh, I don't know.
I didn't know there was rivalry between farmers, to be honest.
I know Marseille's a very poor economic region, and it's quite close to Monaco on the south coast. So there's quite a wealth disparity down there as well. So their fans are hanging for success.
They've won the Champions League once in 1993.
Wasn't that?
Look into the facts.
Does Luis Suarez play for? Oh, it's a different Luis Suarez. I was going to say, what the hell?
It's called
the ex-Liverpool Luis Suarez is back in Uruguay now.
Oh, is he? Alexis Sanchez plays for Marseille.
He scored in I know we're completely going off topic here, but talking about Luis Suarez, but he scored in a Uruguayan derby the other day. Scored a goal for him. But yeah, so it's different Luis Suarez.
Have you seen
Eric Bailly signed for them as well?
Isn't he?
Payet and Eric Bailly signed for them.
Yeah.
Not a bad team, to be fair.
Eric Bailly,
yeah. Did anyone see the City game? 4-0, Sevilla, 2 more goals for Haaland.
I've seen the goals. Yeah, it was
9th goal in his last 5 games. I say it every week, but his goals are all literally move at the back post, tap it in.
That's a City goal.
Yeah.
They replace Sterling sometimes missing them back post tap-ins, but Haaland guaranteed goal every time. So it's a FIFA sweat goal, but it works.
Well, I can't blame them, can you?
I think it's just the good strikers make it look so easy, don't they? Like a little tapping like that, but if you don't take into account how well he's read the game.
No, that's where his skill
and all that sort of stuff.
He reads the game so well.
Yeah, exactly.
Very rude the story-esque.
It was just pretty much one-way traffic, I'm sure.
I was going to say Thomas Muller-esque.
I think City's obviously challenges will come in the bigger games where
City
they're not expecting to win 3 or 4.
Yeah, 10 on target. Yeah, which is a bit crazy, especially away in Europe. It's their biggest ever win against Spanish opposition as well in the Champions League. So looking all rosy for City. Speaking of looking rosy, let's talk about Napoli 4, Liverpool 1. Does anyone want to talk about this? Because I don't.
Rosy? More like Rosie and Jim down at the old canal.
More like 10 bottles of rosé before the game.
There's your quote for the night, talking about Rosie and Jim out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Rosie and Jim! Sorry, we might get trademarked on that.
Get my piece out of the way early. You guys just look like you look like a completely different team, and I don't know what Gomez is even doing because, him and Trent at points. They were just like walking around. I was watching.
I feel like
I was
Trent is
who
like
is this team?
it feels like he's made it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what it is, but
There was no desire to get back in and make a block, was there, or anything?
No, and I was watching Napoli play, and they were just like even just like the passion, like who was it scored their debut for them? The third goal, wasn't it?
Simeone. Yeah, he was like crying, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's because it was his debut, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think, was that? I heard the commentator mention that Diego Simeone's son was on the bench. I don't know if it was him though who scored.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Was it?
I saw something as well. Apparently, I feel like this is what I've heard. It sounds a bit mental, but apparently, when he was 13, he got the Champions League logo tattooed on his wrist.
Wow.
It's a sort of
Luis Suarez kiss.
Yeah, he kissed it when he scored.
Yeah, I'm sure I read it as 13 sounds mental, but I'm sure that's what I read.
Knowing nothing about him, I would expect that from someone that is Simeone's son.
Yeah.
Gets a tattoo.
It was just like. Do you think maybe that there's been a bit of a drop off from last season, and like a bit of heartache from missing out and by coming so close but missing out?
I think it has to be a knock-on effect for the fact that we were in all competitions up until the last game of last season. It's got to have either a mental and physical knock-on, because otherwise you can't put your finger on it. It's so weird. The drop-off has been so huge.
I do think you losing Mane is a big one.
I mean, yes, Mane's the one that people will bandy on about, but I don't think it's that.
Mane went missing for long parts of seasons. At the end of last season, he did well, but the first half of the season, it was all about Salah and like Mane. Sometimes, well, as we said before, but Mane sometimes he just like couldn't hit a barn door or a banjo. Sometimes he looked like Sterling, but then sometimes he'd just turn it on and he'd be well good.
Mane wasn't the issue last night, because the perfect example is Liverpool's best player was the guy on the left wing, Luis Diaz. So it wasn't that; it was everything and everybody else. But it could have easily been 7 or 8 the defense Napoli last night, and it wouldn't have flattered them.
Trent does deserve penalties, but I feel like the defense are getting a lot of the flack because the midfield is not doing what they're meant to be doing.
I think it does all stem from the midfield for me. That we're not scoring as many goals because the midfield isn't creating. The midfield isn't there, so they're getting straight at the defence. Like the lack of midfielders isn't good. But on the flip side, like everyone was saying about Gomez and Trent is also true.
I don't think you could say the midfield is the reason you gave away like 2 penalties so early on.
Because it's leaving the defence exposed, aren't they?
In the first 3 minutes. You can't.
We didn't concede 2 penalties in the first 3 minutes, did we?
No, but I'm saying, but you conceded your first penalty in the first 4 minutes. You can't say the midfield didn't do enough to protect the defenders in the first 4 minutes.
Well, I mean, looking at the goals, like there is a lack of pressing from the midfield, and the pressing is meant to come from the front. Liverpool just looked knackered.
Again,
and then defensively we're also making bad mistakes, but
it comes back to that heartache from last season again, doesn't it? Like they're not starting games well. Like, why is that? It's every game. It's not just like 1 or 2. It's every single game.
I think it's a mental issue.
For like so many games.
Oh, I don't know what it is now, but we've mentioned it in the last.
It seems like we have to go a goal down to then try and play. I think Everton's one of the few games that didn't happen because they didn't score.
I think it's 8 in the last 9 now. Yeah, it was you. But you'd come back all the time.
Yeah, always concede first. So like, here we go again.
Like it was 3-0 don't get me wrong. Could have been 5 or 6, couldn't it?
Oh, easily. I mean, they missed a penalty. They had another great chance that was stopped on a line by Van Dijk. In the second half, I'm sure they had another one. It's seven goals for Napoli wouldn't have flattered them.
No, wasn't there a stat flying around about there's teams outrunning Liverpool now as well?
I was going to
maybe that's maybe that's a conscious thing for teams coming against Liverpool.
Is a bit of a myth.
I mean, if we outrun them,
that's a bit of a myth because when Klopp first came in, that's what he demanded of the team, that you basically outwork everyone. Whereas if you look at it in the last 2 or 3 seasons, it's not been like that. Like
right.
I think the first 1 or 2 seasons it was like headless chicken, run. Whereas in the more recent seasons, it's been more controlled.
No, there isn't any pressing. When the defence have got the ball. Yeah, that's obviously something that's.
There's no pressing from the midfield, which then means the attackers for the opposing team in midfield can then do whatever they want to expose our defence. They've got
Plus,
time
we've
on the
got a
ball to do it.
stupidly high line.
Yeah, well, that
It's just
doesn't
a
help either.
catalogue of errors.
You
It is a
can't have
catalogue of errors in
you
Liverpool.
can't have that high line without the pressing in midfield. It just doesn't
No.
work. So
Yeah.
now they've got a bit of time off. We'll see what they come up with in the next game. Who even will be the next game? Do you know, Johnson?
Well, obviously this weekend's not happening. Is it going to be on next week? It depends when the Queen's funeral falls. There might not be football until after the international break. I don't know.
Well, we've got Ajax on Tuesday, which they looked good last
And
night
that
against Rangers.
schedule Premier
It's
League
Chelsea.
game is Chelsea away. Whether or not
Chelsea on Sunday.
With new manager bounce, if it goes ahead, we don't know with what's going to be going on with fixtures now. So
no,
we've got to play that one with a pinch of salt.
Did anyone see any
Ajax
of the games for the Champions League? Or I watched the Ajax Rangers game. Ajax won 4-0. It's 3-0.
I caught the Celtic Real Madrid game. With
Celtic did well in that game first half.
Yeah, Celtic were very good for 60
Real
minutes.
Madrid
And I think Real Madrid just worn them down.
I watched the Ajax game and they looked really, really good.
They did well in the league too, I think, Ajax. They won 4 on the bounce.
Well, I fear playing Ajax, to be honest, on Tuesday, because if they attack the way they did against Rangers, it's not going to be pretty. No, Falvey, you wanted to talk about Barca. Maybe Victoria Pilsen 5-1 at home. Lewandowski got a hat-trick.
I don't know if I necessarily wanted to speak about them, but I think in terms of like the excitement around them, I think it's very much like it sort of feels like Barca are back a little bit, doesn't it? Like in the sense of if you look at the results, like I know
even if they weren't back, they've spent that much money, there would be excitement around them.
True.
They are second in the table as well, so the stats do point to them.
I think this like with Lewandowski, he's just such a effortless goal scorer, isn't he? Like I think they're going to score goals even if they play badly with a player like him.
Obviously, another game was Bayern went to Inter and won 2-0. I know a lot of people are saying they may have a chance of winning the whole thing. I don't know who they've actually signed, bar Mane. Obviously, he's direct.
Two guys from Ajax. Ajax's right back and a centre mid, Gravenberch, I think.
Are they a better team than last season, considering they sold? Like, is Mane an upgrade on Lewandowski? I wouldn't say he is.
No.
Well,
it's not far off, but
what Bayern Munich do is like season after season, is they pick up the players that we won't have heard of.
Yeah,
unless you're like
I think it was Gravenberch. CB was a little bit.
That was it, Gravenberch, yeah.
From Ajax, yeah, big player for Ajax last year.
Good player.
Well, they signed De Ligt from Juventus as well, haven't they?
Yeah, they signed De Ligt too, yeah.
So they might have not signed a central striker. I know Manny can play that, so they haven't got Lewandowski, but they've done well, Bayern Munich, elsewhere. They've basically brought a new spine to their team.
Did anyone see the Dortmund game? Beat Copenhagen 3-0 at home. Jude Bellingham got man of the match, scored a goal. He was unreal again.
Very, very good performance. It's insane the amount of games that he's been able to play at Dortmund from a young age. Yeah, it's imagine. I know there was rumours of him joining Man United when he was 16, but he wouldn't have played nearly 200 games for Man United in that time. Great move for him to make at the time that call.
66. Oh, he's 19 now. He's played 66 games for Dortmund so far. And
they're just a factory, Dortmund, aren't they?
Yeah. But then it's weird because like everyone knew about this guy at Birmingham at one point, and then it's like, well, why don't you just pay the 5 million or whatever it was? Just take a risk. Now you're gonna have to pay like 100 plus.
It's
easy.
German teams do it fairly often. They take young English talent, knowing that if they turn out good, they'll end up getting lots and lots of money for them. It's quite a clever little ploy by them. I mean, Bayern Munich effectively use the rest of the Bundesliga like it's its own youth team. But Dortmund do well outside of that, picking up players that it might work out with, it might not. So, I mean, no one thought Jude Bellingham would be this good, but everyone knew that he was like some wonder kid at Birmingham.
I don't know about you, Johnson.
Birmingham actually retired his number, didn't they, when he left? And everyone's like, oh, he's only 16, 17, why are you doing that? And then you go in, looking at him now, they knew what they had on their hands, like.
Still a bit ridiculous. Like, he didn't do anything at Birmingham.
He's potentially England's main midfielder for the next 10, 15 years. Birmingham did have an idea that he's one of their star boys, but
I don't
when
know.
A big club comes calling, what can you do?
I don't know how you feel, but like every game that goes by, I feel less and less confident that we're going to sign him, just because I think we won't stump up the money.
We've put all our eggs into this one basket as Jude Bellingham, but if Real Madrid or Man City stump up more money, we won't match it. FSG, they won't do it. And also, if we're not in the Champions League, why would he come anyway?
Exactly. Everyone's going to want him. City are going to want him. United are going to want him. Chelsea want him. Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich. Everyone will want him.
And we won't match them in a money thing. We won't pay as much wages. We won't stump up as much transfer fee. So all eggs in one basket is very foolish.
I don't know if he was a Liverpool fan, but I know he's a really big Gerrard fan.
Apparently, his dad was a Liverpool fan or something. I've heard that. That's all like, oh, yeah, he's destined to come. Like, there's no guarantees in football. Let's be honest.
No, there's no loyalties there whatsoever. But I watched a video. It was an England video, and it was like a game, like, you know, where they blindfold one player and they ask the other player a question. And it was like, it was Reece James and Bellingham, and it was who would Reece James want an autograph off? I can't remember the three players. And it was Lampard and Gerrard, and Reece James picked Lampard, and like Bellingham just pulled a face, was like, "What? No, it's Gerrard." Like that gives me like a little bit of hope that he is a Liverpool fan. But if we don't pony up the money, then he's not going to come, is he?
I think you might, for a one-off signing, definitely break the bank for him.
But then the problem with Liverpool is deeper than one, isn't it?
Each time.
It might be Liverpool now is deeper than just one.
I actually was speaking to someone about this, just going back to Liverpool a second, but when we're obviously all talking about this aging midfield now, I mentioned this to someone, and then I also said we're going to have, if you look at the defence, like Matip and Van Dijk, they're getting on as well, and they're going to need replacing. And it's just
Konate's obviously younger, isn't he? He's with an eye to the future.
Yeah, and we miss Konate massively, I feel. He is...
At the moment,
along with Van Dijk. No, he's the starter with Van Dijk, I think.
Yeah,
but it's just a vicious cycle. And
I think Klopp, because he knows he can trust Matip. If Matip's fit, our starting two centre backs are still Van Dijk and Matip, but Konate is definitely pushing.
I think he brings Matip in for the games where he needs like the cool head, the experience. But then I say that. Konate started Champions League final.
Konate played some big games for us, yeah, but I still think one argument you can say about Klopp is maybe he's too loyal, which is also part of our problem now with our aging team. But Matip if fit, is still a very look at the game last night with Napoli. I know we conceded very early in the second half, but Van Dijk looks so more calm when he's got Matip next to him.
Yeah,
them two as a centre-back partnership, there's definitely a longevity there. But Konate's a quality signing for us. But yeah, there is a lot of... It's creaking bones, isn't it, the Liverpool team? I know we're going back to Liverpool again, but... And that's why I don't think Jude Bellingham's just the answer. We need 2 or 3 midfielders. Jude Bellingham would be a long-term replacement for 10, 15 years, but we need 2 or 3. It's not... that's just midfielders.
I would just like to see a fully fit 11 just to actually see, are we struggling?
Yeah, but the problem is we never see our fully fit 11 because they all are injury prone.
I'm glad Jota's back. I think he'll make a big difference. I would consider dropping Salah, to be fair.
I think a few of the big names potentially need dropping. I know we're not playing now, but Trent needs dropping. There's something going wrong there. I think it's because he thinks he's undroppable. I think he needs dropping. Salah's been quiet. Maybe you could drop him if further people are available, but...
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Right,
Thiago's back, so I'm chucking all my eggs into the... Thiago Alcantara is amazing. Please stay fit and help us.
But he can't stay fit.
He's made out of cheese. He's got cheese string legs, but when he's fit, oh my god, Thiago Alcantara.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Also made out of cheese, but yeah. Should we move on to the final topic, VAR? We've probably said everything we want to say about it, to be honest, but I don't know if anyone has any ideas on what they think could be done to streamline it, make it better.
I mean, it might be, rather than just saying about VAR and all the things wrong with it, can I just say I preferred football before VAR?
Yeah.
I think VAR has actually made football less enjoyable to watch, created bigger problems when things go wrong, and even down to the point of you can't even properly celebrate a goal anymore because you're going, oh, this might get chalked off. Oh no, it's not. The initial rush of a goal's gone.
Cody, that.
Unless you're Connor Cody, but yeah, just VAR for me kills the enjoyment of football a little bit.
You are kind of like scored, but hang on a second. Just wait.
Well, I said that. Well, I actually watched it with George and Luke obviously jumped up, started celebrating. I just stayed in the chair because, to be honest, I actually knew he was offside anyway. But it was like, you can't actually celebrate it, and I agree. I think it's made it much less enjoyable now. It seems like they've highlighted all the things that were wrong before, like under like a microscope now, and they're just still getting things wrong. So I don't really see the benefit of it at all, to be honest.
No,
which is weird because it works in other countries, doesn't it? And
I was just going to say, is it the referees that we have? Is it because in other countries it doesn't seem to be as a contentious point
I think
where you get in the wrong decisions constantly? Is it the subjective decisions they're getting wrong where they don't want to disagree with their mate, or is it? I don't know.
There seems to be a bit of that going on, doesn't there?
I think you've hit the nail on the head. VAR itself works if it's implemented properly, but the people in charge of it in the UK are terrible.
Then, do they do a bad job in Europe? Has anyone noticed?
Yeah,
I've never seen that headline.
There's less. Yeah, there's less.
Maybe they follow a different
decisions.
rule set. Or...
I mean, I think that's one of them. It could go either way.
What happened tonight?
So there was a handball in the Man United game.
Yeah, but that's not an English referee, though, is it?
No, exactly.
It was a sub-up.
It's VAR.
Also, it was the right decision as well. So of course, CB has to say it's not.
What I mean is, English.
Oh, seriously, CB, do you think that wasn't a handball? Just out of curiosity.
It hit his knee, and then went onto his arm. He wasn't outstretching. It wasn't a handball, and it was a point blank too. So there's no way that was handball.
So, in your opinion, VAR looked at that and got it wrong, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just going back to how I think we can change it. Like, obviously, you said before Friday you don't agree, but to me, offsides are the one where they should be getting it right because there's just not a question. Like,
all right, yeah, but the problem with the offsides though is everyone says offsides are black and white. You know, you're either onside or you're offside. Like, okay, I understand that in principle on paper, yeah, that makes sense. But when someone's like the hair follicles are in front, is that offside or not? Like, where do you draw the line? Like,
this is not VAR, is it? This is the rules.
Yeah,
the rules
are
wrong, and the rules may need changing.
Well, no, but you don't change the rules to fit VAR. You keep the rules as they are now. The point I was making in the chat the other day was if there's a clear and obvious error, someone being offside, then they look at it and then they go, "Oh yeah, he was miles offside. How have I missed that? Goal disallowed." Not when it's like someone's like toe. Oh yeah, his toe, like if the lines are overlapping and all.
Yeah, but if any.
Rules, if you can score from any part of your body, if that's offside,
and it's ahead of the defender, that's as you said, you can't change the rules because of to suit VAR. But I think VAR is VAR is running the game now, basically.
No, but okay, so if any part of you that can score is in front of the defender, then you're offside. Yeah. Okay, so
that's the rules. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the rules, right? So where do we draw the line on that then? So if my
no pun intended.
If my chest, yeah, no
okay,
literally on the pitch.
So if my chest is like a half inch behind the defender,
then you're offside.
I'm offside.
That is literally black and white. There is.
I don't have an issue with offside.
If it's a cold night and you've got bullet nips, you can score with them bullet nips.
Yeah, basically, you need to tape everything down. Tape everything down, to try and get an advantage. I know
this new system in the Champions League looks interesting. I think it's different to the one we use in the UK. I think it's Hawkeye we use in the UK in the Premier League.
It creates like a 3D image of them, doesn't it?
Yeah, it seems to be a lot quicker as well.
Right. Well, as an Everton fan, I could say obviously I don't know anything about the Champions League. So, go on, explain it to me, Sam. What does it do?
Villarreal.
So it's essentially, I don't know the technology. I've only seen it used in practice, where it seems to be able to 3D map the pitch and basically pick out if the attacker's offside or onside, rather than freezing the frame, drawing the line on when the ball's kicked.
So
I don't know. It seems like a smoother system.
Well, that'd be interesting to know then if they saw VAR in the Premier League and was like, "Wow, that's the bronze package. Let's buy the gold package then for Champions League." Because why the Premier League not gone straight in for that?
Because they've awarded the contract to Hawkeye.
Yeah. And again, back to money again. That's what I mean. It's just.
Oh yeah, they don't have VAR in the Championship, do they? For example.
It's just I just
say
think
I've just read
in regards to the offsides, by the way. Sorry, just my last thing. I think it should be a clear and obvious error if it's your foot. That's like that's not, for me, in my eyes, that's not offside. If your like body is behind the defender, then yeah, you're offside. But like if your head is leaning forward as you're sprinting, and that's behind the the rest of your body isn't even.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
It
should be
but part of the issue
like that.
with the other decisions is how subjective it is. So if you make offside subjective, you're going to end up with decisions all over the place.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. That's why now, like it seems like, as you say, like one, like okay.
Yeah, it's annoying if your shoelace is offside, but it's offside.
Yeah, and it's the same.
It's always been. That's what I mean. It's a fair parameter.
I feel like there should be a bit of leeway though,
because before VAR, it was down to the linesman who would go, yeah, okay. So when the linesman was looking down that line, was the linesman going, oh, his head is behind his body as Kane put an over the top ball through his spot? But he wasn't doing that, was he? He was looking at his body. Is the person. Like, I understand.
It's a bit silly that your hip can be ahead of someone and you're offside because you're not going to try and shoot with your hip.
I could be.
VAR ultimately was brought in to stop clans, wasn't it?
Trying to
but now they're using it to be rule of the law.
It's just we'll just your hair follicle is offside, so you're offside. Like I get the black and white bit, but it's a little bit frustrating, I think, when you're trying to watch a game.
Yeah. No, VAR was there for the ones where there's a guy a yard off onside or offside. It's not for the he's offside by a toenail clipping. There's almost to be like a corridor or a slight almost margin of error in a way. It feels like they're going, and that's why decisions are taking so long. Is because they're going, hang on, he's offside by a bullet nipple, as I said before.
When you see them drawing the lines as well, sometimes it doesn't even seem like they're drawn at the right angle or like not.
Because that's the human error aspect. Are the lines definitely put incorrectly because it's done by a person?
That's why
I do like this new idea of this one that's done by the computer.
I'm just looking at it now, and it kind of highlights a part of the body that's through. Basically, there's an invisible wall where the line is, and if there's a part of the body through it, it highlights it.
Like Everton fans could draw the line to make Conor Cody onside. So it's just but that's what I mean.
As they did on Twitter. Was it Bellew on Twitter was like, how is this not onside? They've drawn the lines like completely cockeyed. Like
so to try and make just in regards to offsides, then what I'd say is like to make it better. The so like the Conor Cody one, for example, I don't even know if the linesman put his flag up or not.
No.
He didn't, right? Okay, no. So to me, that's going to be a good example then. So ball comes in, we score, linesman doesn't put his flag up. Guys in VAR don't do any lines, they just watch it back and they go, he's clearly offside. They go, right, I don't need to draw you a line. Go and have a look. I'm telling you he's offside now. If you're happy to just accept that, then they blow the whistle or if they go and look at it or whatever. But not when it's an over the top Kevin De Bruyne ball to Haaland, and Haaland again his eyebrows are offside. It's like
I think they are with a time limit. Like you've only got 30 seconds, 45 seconds to look at the incident, and if it's not clear, it's the on-field decision.
I feel like
I agree with that.
That could cause more uproar though, because like you'd see fans like say the ref didn't do it fast enough or whatever to see it, but it's clearly offside, and then fans have got more things to moan about.
Well, no, if it's clearly offside, then it's easy to see because you watch it back. That's what I mean.
But then you
when
said
it's not clear, you leave it. Yeah, whatever was on pitch, leave it. Yeah.
You saw that Conor Cody was offside from the off. Yeah. It took them like 2 minutes to find out.
Yeah, because they were drawing lines and they had to get in, like, do all the maths and all the rest of
Thing
it.
is,
I
with
could see
this,
it live. I could see it live. I saw he was offside straight away.
I don't know if you remember from the last
obviously,
podcast.
I thought he was offside, and you were agreeing with me, and obviously we were supporting different teams.
Yeah.
Whereas Luke was just loving the moment and going absolutely wild, not caring about. If anything, he had what it should have been like, before VAR came, and you should have been like that as well.
Was that 3
But
players in?
we both were like, "Oh, that looks offside." That, and so you didn't overly celebrate at all, and I was like, "I'm pretty sure that's offside. That better be offside. It's a disgrace."
What I should have done was enjoyed those 20 seconds of bliss where I thought we'd actually.
Yeah,
you should have just enjoyed it and walked out.
But that's like I said, is my problem with VAR. Is even now you should be celebrating like perfect. I know we're talking about people that no one else knows, or at least in the chat, the other Evertonian that we were watching the game with celebrated madly like you should, whereas you didn't, and you show what modern supporters are like, and he showed what it should be like. It was a perfect like night and day version of how VAR sucked a bit of life out of the game. Ultimately, I'm glad, obviously, the goal wasn't allowed because I was supporting Liverpool, but you should have just been able to support or celebrate like Connor Cody did in that moment. But with VAR now, it's not the case.
Did you see that video of Nunes just like doing the VAR thing next to Connor?
Yeah. But then, like I said, we were talking before about how people aren't going to like him. He has got a bit of that shit out about him, which is nice.
It back, doesn't he? He needs to give it back.
Sorry, I just swore so that.
We made it. I was literally just about to say. Has anyone got anything else to add before we finish? And you said.
Obviously, going on about VAR, they need to look at other sports and how it works. So, the TMO in rugby, they go, is there any reason I cannot allow this as a try? Is there any evidence why this should not be given as this? And in VAR, they're just so definitively trying to do something.
What about if they have like a challenge system like tennis? So you can't go to VAR for everything.
I don't like the challenge aspect of it. In tennis, it's very much has it hit the line or not, and it's down to the player versus the lines judge rather than the actual Hawkeye, which is a definitive answer. I don't like the challenge thing.
You do it in cricket though, as well,
think it should just be
more. That's like less cut and dry, isn't it?
I know football's a lot harder than tennis because tennis is just a ball hitting a line, and the line Hawkeye is definitive on that. But I think the way that rugby is the most similar to football.
The guy who's
and the way that they do it is a lot better.
The guy who's calling for the challenge, so the guy who thinks he's the final man, he could be the one calling for the challenge, and it's basically, is he behind him or ahead of him?
It's hard to know, I think, in the moment, isn't it, with football? I think because it's non-stop. Like, you get the pauses in the other sports.
Because also in tennis, when they do run out of challenges, then clangers can still be made, but you haven't got a challenge so tough. I don't like the challenge system. I disagree with that one. With VAR, if it's here to stay, it needs to be implemented better, or the standard of officiating needs to be better.
I think
unfortunately, I don't think it's going to go away now. I think personally, I don't like VAR, and I'd happily get rid of it. But it's here to stay. We're in the technological age, so we just need to have it being implemented better.
Maybe they need to take it away for couple of years and sort it out and then bring it back.
I've always thought
it's the standard of refs in this country. That's the problem. Sorry, go on.
That's right. I always thought personally, like growing up watching football and stuff, that the referee and like how they officiate the game, linesmen, and all that, wasn't just another aspect of the game. It was like sometimes you get a decision and it goes your way when it shouldn't have, and sometimes you get a decision go against you when it shouldn't have. It was just part of the. It was just part of football. Like sometimes it happened, sometimes it didn't.
I think the issue is there's so much money involved in football now.
Yeah,
that's why VAR came in.
Well, even more so the Premier League. You said it yourself. It's the amount of transfers. It's the biggest. It's the most lucrative, and yet the standard of refereeing seems so much worse than everywhere else. It's like, I looked up when you were talking. At the 2018 FIFA World Cup, there were no English or British officials there.
I know, yeah.
That says a lot.
That shows the standard. I mean,
but then, to be fair,
it's the best league in the world. I know we're saying that because we're all Premier League fans, but if you look at the transfers and all the players that come over, it is realistically, and yet the standard of officiating is so poor. It's.
But again, you got to think as well. The game itself has changed as well, though, hasn't it? From I'm not just bringing up Ericsson because it was not just him, but I'm just saying that as an example. Like, when players are just throwing themselves around and like just throwing themselves down and then claiming it's a foul and then you've cost them a goal and then you've cost the team 2 points. Like, again, back in the day, you'd never get that. It was much more of a physical game, wasn't it? Whereas now,
yeah, I miss that.
Yeah, now
I don't know about you guys, but when we played football when we were younger, if I got challenged or whatever, or shoulder barged and I fell over, I would never, ever, ever show that I was hurt, even if it killed, because I felt like the other guy was winning. Whereas now in football, it's like,
but the thing is,
just cry.
if you were playing for your team then back in school, and it was the difference between like you getting a £1 million like parachute payment from getting relegated, or a £13 million TV deal, to see you rolling around on the floor or not, you're going to roll around on the floor, aren't you?
Well, yeah, true, but
that's what I mean. It's just
showing like my point of view. Like, it's just ridiculous. Yeah. Do we all want a laugh to go out on?
Well, I was going to say, just before you go on for a laugh, I was going to say there is a shining light for VAR potentially. I don't know if you've seen. Yes, Howard Webb is taking over.
I'm all for this.
That's not a shining light. That's a shining light to Man United fans.
I'm very happy with that decision.
Maybe. But,
more Greater Manchester referees in the Prem. Yeah, brilliant, mate. No, I mean, realistically, they need someone with authority to step up on VAR.
What is he doing there, though? Is he like running it?
He's going to be the new head of like the VAR team, effectively. Yeah.
Yes, he's been doing that in the MLS for the last few years, and apparently he promised to cast it in a different light when he comes.
I think accountability is a big one. So if you do get the decisions wrong, there is, there are consequences. Yeah.
But again, back in the day, refs made the bad decisions all the time, and they never got dragged through the coals. It was just part of the game, isn't it?
They did. They
definitely. I mean, referees have always been like the baddie. The amount of chance you got, who's the bastard in the black, or anything like that. No, referees are always deemed as the baddie.
There goes all the kids that were going to listen to us.
Well, I mean, generally speaking, there's worse on the touchline. Let's be honest, but the referees are always like the pantomime villains. Don't get me wrong.
Howard Webb and he starts swearing. There's a coincidence.
Wasn't Howard Webb one of the wasn't he one of the referees you were saying before about how like there was no British representatives at the World Cup or whatever? Wasn't Howard Webb one of like the main refs a few years back? If I remember
going back a bit now.
He's done a World Cup final, hasn't he, I think?
Yeah.
The last time I remember him is when he gave an outrageous decision at Old Trafford. One of them.
I don't recall that.
And Ryan Babel tweeted a picture of him with a United shirt on and got a ban for it.
And then got fined and banned for it, yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Do you remember when players used to get retrospective bans for diving?
I remember that.
Remember the last player to get that?
Wasn't it an Everton player?
Yeah.
Because I think it was only one player who did it. Because I remember you were dead excited. You were like, it's finally going to stop all these players diving. And the first ever one, and the only ever one, I think, was an Everton fan.
Yeah, I'm not.
Everton player.
Not into conspiracy theories or anything. I'm just going to Google his name now because I've forgotten who it was.
I think there might have been two, to be fair, and the first one was an Everton fan.
Yeah, it was.
Why do I keep saying fan? Player.
No, we were the. It was ours that was the last one. I'm sure it was. It's going to bug me now who it is. I'll Google it now. I'll come back.
Does anyone else have anything to add before I give you all a laugh? While he searches that.
Oh, I thought Howard Webb being the shining light was the laugh. But...
No. The laugh is... So while I was looking at this VAR, the Champions League odds have appeared on the page, and Liverpool are currently third favourites to win the Champions League.
Well, that's right now looks foolish. Right now, I'm worried if we even get out of the group, because if we play like we have done against Ajax, we're in trouble, so I don't see that.
City are 5-2. PSG are 5-1. We're 11-2. Bayern Munich 13-2. Real Madrid are 9-1.
Should we all do
the holders are 9-1?
Should we all do a little prediction and come back to it at the end of the season? Who do we think is going to win Champions League?
I'm going.
Matt will hold against you.
You've got to go City, haven't you?
Well, no, I'm going to see who Bracewell's going to go with because then I
disagree.
can't get slated for.
You can't pick Arsenal, Fryer. They're not in it.
Right, do you know what? I'm going to go outside then because I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm going to go Spurs. I'm going to say Spurs are going to win it for the first time.
They're
There you go.
14 to
Figure
1.
that one out, CB. Go on. I'm an Arsenal and a Spurs fan. Figure that one out.
Wait, you're still an Arsenal fan.
Well, he
Ajax
obviously is.
are
But
gonna
he's
win.
saying
100 to
Spurs.
1. 100 to 1 Ajax.
What about Spurs?
They're
Ajax said
14
that.
to 1 Tottenham.
That's
Like-
some good odds.
Man City with Haaland, you'd think probably are favourites. Did you say they are favourites? But
Yeah.
Man City also, they've been getting away with leaking goals, and I think that's where they'll come unstuck against good teams.
I
don't want
fancy
City to
Madrid
win it.
again.
What
I
Munich?
fancy Madrid.
I think Bayern Munich is for me is the pick. I think Bayern Munich will be there or thereabouts.
I think Bayern.
I'm going to change. You can't pick City. Let's say that. I'm going to change to Madrid.
Pick who you want.
No,
you can't pick City.
All right, I pick Arsenal.
You can pick who you want. Man City are probably favourites, and with Haaland scoring goals for fun, they're probably there or thereabouts. But
It pains me to say it, but I think City, it's a matter of time before they
Then we
do win
think that
Champions
every
League
year, don't we?
under Pep. I know, but I feel like it's a matter of time. And
I would just be
think
happy.
it's possibly this year.
I think we need to pull the plaster off. Let City win it so Pep buggers off.
And then we can
He ain't
start
going
again.
till he wins. So
Isn't that what we were thinking about Liverpool in the Premier League? Just let you win and then Klopp then just go.
It seems to have happened.
he's kind of quietly quit, hasn't he?
anyone else got anything to say before we end?
Well, yeah. Who else? Who hasn't done a prediction?
I was just going to say, I'm hoping Munich win it so I can see Mane lifting the trophy and like all the memes of Klopp crying.
I saw a meme before, and it was.
I think if anything, the complete opposite. I think most Liverpool fans will want Mane to win it if we don't.
Yeah,
especially if it might stop City. I'd be
100%.
drinking
I might
beer
change my
time
vote
Mane. I
I
think.
might change my vote.
Who did you vote for, Chris?
CB's like, I don't want to see that now. I've changed my mind.
I've opened my eyes now, and the perspective there, I don't.
Oh, so you did fall asleep then?
Yeah.
CB was having a go at Fryer being a closet Arsenal fan. CB was a closet Liverpool fan until I made him aware of it.
I actually was thinking of. What was I thinking of?
Who have you picked, CV?
I did pick Bayern.
Yeah.
PSG.
Nah.
You can't pick Bayern because Man is there. You can't pick City because of the City. So
The
he's
City.
going through the list in his head.
Real Madrid because you've got Casemiro from them.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Barca. I said it before.
I
Barca
still
are back
think
on.
Bayern. I still think Bayern.
Barca are 18 to 1, which is crazy money. Should we end it there?
Yeah, well, just to end on a joke then, it was Everton's Nias became the first Premier League player charged
That's
with
who it was,
successfully
yeah.
deceiving
Wow.
a match official.
Striker, wasn't he?
Faces a potential
Forgotten about
two-match ban. Yeah, it's
Umar Nias, was it?
yeah. I just love the wording of this as well. The becomes the first player, as if like there was going to be a list of others charged with successfully deceiving a match official. Like, do you know what? I'll stop there before I get.
Sound like you're reading out a statement to a criminal or something.
Yeah. Oh god. No, I'll
So-
stop there.
Just to get it on record, is everyone here Monday? Or anyone
Yes.
not here?
Think
Maybe
so.
are you here Monday?
Yes.
Right. so
Essentially,
next
no games to
podcast-
talk about, though.
Oh, well, we'll just do some topics.
Play it by ear.
Yeah, we'll come up with some topics. So do the next one for Monday. Yeah, been another good one. Thanks for joining us. Been a good one. Been good fun. They all are, to be fair. So yeah.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Like and subscribe. Follow.
Yes. Oh yeah, I should really say the socials to. I know my dad's going to listen to it, so
My dad wrote.
I don't know if he knows how to use Twitter. But
My dad won't. What?
Mad up, well.
So you get Steve to listen to it, Matt.
so,
Absolutely not.
Please.
He only watches real football, which is non-league Welsh football. That's
Well,
real
Stat,
football.
was it Stat Sport?
Yeah, real.
Really refused
He'll
to
make
move.
us randomly do like a Colin Bay section, won't he? Oh, and Colin Bay news this week.
yeah.
That picture still makes me laugh when he watched Stat
Oh,
Sport and he refused to move.
Yeah, he refused to move to the other side. And he's just stood there by himself.
I like when he went to the new camp and pulled out a real scarf.
The real scarf at the new camp, yeah, and then sent me the picture. I was just like, please don't put this on social media. My mum did. And then he ended up in the news, didn't he? He ended up in the
journal.
Yeah, they put it in the journal.
Wow.
Random man from Prestatyn pulls out a real scarf.
It'll be funny if
He's promoting their town.
Yeah.
There's this influx of Spanish visitors now to Rill.
Yeah, just.
Open some
Is it
paella
just-
spots.
Some guys from Barcelona rock up like, what the hell have we done?
Just to go back to the social, CB,
Shout out
is
to
it
Real.
just halftime team talk on Anchor?
Yeah.
So you just find us under halftime team talk on Anchor, on Spotify, and on Twitch. Twitter is halftime TA2. Want to follow us there? And yeah, that's about it. Cheers.
The YouTube.
Stay classy.
Halftime team talk.
Keep classy.
Believe it or not.
Subscribe.
But yeah.
A podcast with absolutely no mention of burning kids. Success.